Hi, welcome to my channel, Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. I'm so glad you're here.
Today we're doing bee-themed DIYs.
Now let's get crafting.
I'm going to be using the coveted Farmer's Market calendar from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use the page that has the honeybee on it. And I'm going to use a piece of cardboard. It was just a box that I had. I'm going to cut off the bendy parts with a blade, and I'm going to make it slightly bigger than the actual calendar page. And what I'm going to use is something I got from burlapfabric.com. It's a faux brown leather. It is so cool. It's a huge piece of fabric, and I'm going to cut out a square just slightly bigger than my cardboard, and then I am going to take each corner, fold it up and hot glue it, and then I'll come back and fold all the sides in so that I can get a nice square out of it. And if you're wondering why I covered the entire piece of cardboard, well, I didn't think about this till after the fact. I could have just cut out strips for what would really show and save some of that faux leather. My bad, I didn't even think of it till after the fact. Now that I've covered my piece of cardboard, I'm going to take my calendar page and I'm going to use a glue stick from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cover the entire thing generously in the glue stick. And then I'm going to press it down onto my faux leather. And I'm even going to use my little brayer, which is in my Amazon store. It's a great tool for adhering things to surfaces when you've used glue or any kind of adhesive. It's really good at getting out wrinkles and bubbles, and not to say that you'll never get them, but it really helps quite a bit. I have this really pretty ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's burlap with lace going down the middle, and I'm going to put one strip of it across the side over that kind of burlap in the print of the calendar page. I thought, I have real burlap, why not do that and make it more textured and three-dimensional? So I'm hot gluing that right on there, and I'm going to secure it on both sides and then on the back to make sure that it's nice and attached. I have another ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's just lace, and I'm going to put it over the two corners on the right side of my picture here, just to kind of set off the corners a little bit. And I'm going to attach that on the back at the angle so that it goes diagonal across each corner. And then I'm going to take one long piece and put it next to the other ribbon, just covering that end so that all four corners actually do have the lace on them. Now I want this sign to look old and worn, so I'm going to take my Antique Wax by Waverly and I'm going to use a baby wipe. And I'm just going to start by doing the edges and over the lace. And then I realize it's almost just too light in the middle, so I'm just going to do the whole thing, and I go crazy. And but I lightly rub. I'm not going that crazy, just a little crazy. I ordered these upholstery tacks off of Amazon, and they'll be in my Amazon store. They are so beautiful, and this is the perfect project for it. So I'm going to poke them into each of the four corners, add a little bit of hot glue underneath the actual tack, and then later I'll come back and I'll clip off the pointy edge on the back. But how pretty is this? Oh my gosh, I am loving this look so much. Now I've got these skewers. They're the very narrow skewers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use 4 of them, and I'm going to outline the piece of paper that is the calendar sign, and I'm going to use the antique wax again, and I'm going to stain them, and then I will measure and use my little snips and cut off the edge. Make sure that I dip the end into the wax so it doesn't look like a different color, and I'm going to hot glue them down all the way around the entire calendar page. Now, the ones on the top and bottom, I have to poke underneath the ribbon, as you see me doing there, and then I go ahead and hot glue it. And then I'm going to add one last piece over between the two ribbons on the left side. And here's a close-up of me snipping the pointy end of the upholstery tack. Now I'm using a little piece of rope, and I'm hot gluing it to the back, and then I'm going to take a piece of masking tape while the glue is hot and put that right over the top. That just really secures that rope down. And then I've cut a piece of craft paper, and I'm going to hot glue it to the back and trim the edges of that so that it's a nice finished piece. In order to get my little rope hanger out, I'm going to take my blade and just cut around where the rope is, and then I'm going to pull it through, and then this one is done, and I'm really happy with it, and I hope you guys like it too. Today's video is part of a collaboration called the Bizzy Bee Friend Hop, and I've got 4 other YouTube creator friends joining me, and I'm going to have a link in my description that tells you where to hop next. And you're going to finish my video, follow that link, watch the next video, and follow the links all the way back to my channel, and that's how you know that you have completed the hop. You are going to love what my friends make. They are very talented. And if you've come over from one of the other channels, I am so happy you're here, and it's great to meet you. I hope you'll consider joining me on YouTube by hitting the red subscribe button and then turning on the notification bell so you always know when I have a new video coming up. I do all kinds of DIYs in different styles. And gardening in the spring and summer. There's something for everyone. For this DIY, I'm using one of those arrow summer signs. I'm going to take it apart, and it comes off really easy, by the way. They're just staples, and I did sand down where the little staple holes were. I didn't need to fill anything in. It wasn't very deep. And then I'm going to use my little ladybug vacuum cleaner to clean it up, and that's in my Amazon store in the description box below. And now I'm just going to figure out how I could turn this into a little bit of a picket fence. So I'm going to take some skewers just to create spacers between each of the arrows, try to get them even. Then I realize, oh, I want the other side to be the front. So I'm going to end up turning it over, and I'm going to use these shims. They have like a narrow end and a thick end, so I'm going to take 2 for each one. I'm going to figure out how long they need to be. I'm measuring that. I'm going to cut them with my miter shears, also down in my Amazon store. Very cool tool, by the way. And I'm going to glue the 2 pieces together to make a whole piece, and then I'm going to put them across the front of my fence and hot glue those down. And it actually, once I figured out what I really wanted to do, it went really easy. It was just deciding what I wanted to do. That's always the problem. I just have so many ideas. Now I'm going to sand the top of each of those pieces that I put together, and there I am hot gluing. So basically I'm putting, you can see the narrow side with the wide side and so forth, and then it makes a solid piece. And then I will hot glue those directly to the top. And once they're down, I can remove those spacers. I don't know if you noticed I did not glue where the spacers are going to be, because that's going to be my little gaps in the fence. I'm going to use my sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and just make sure that all the edges are smooth and that there won't be any splinters. Then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Maize, which is just a yellow, and I'm going to cover the entire fence. The front, those crossbars, the edges, not the back, though I'm going to paint that a different color, and it takes me about 2 coats to get this completely covered. I've got this really pretty scrapbook paper, and I'm just going to cut a piece to cover the top of each of those crossbars. That's all I want for this one. And once those are cut out, I'm going to use some of my Aleene's decoupage, and I'm going to put that, it's just like Mod Podge, by the way. I'm going to apply that to the crossbars so that I can lay down the scrapbook paper. And then I'm going to use my brayer over the top and then coat the top again with the decoupage solution. I have some letter stickers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to get out the ones that I need. I'm going to be spelling out the word bee and crossing. So on this fence, it's just going to say bee crossing. And then I also got these super cute little bee stickers from Michaels, and I'm going to apply them all over. But before I do that, I also have another piece of scrapbook paper that looks like little honeycombs. So I'm going to cut it out at different angles to kind of create little honeycombs, and I'm going to adhere them using the decoupage solution, which I'm doing right there, and put the bees on it so it looks like they're in the hive, kind of. You'll see what I mean. So then I'm just going to be putting bees all over the place, because if it's a bee crossing, there will be a lot of bees. And then once I get all the bees down, I'm going to cover everything with the decoupage solution just to make sure that nothing comes up again later. I'm going to be using my Kills white primer paint that I use all the time for the back side, and it's going to take 2 or 3 coats. And then after that's done, I'm going to take some rope, I'm going to hot glue it down and use my masking tape like I always do and secure it. And I'm loving how this one turned out. It's super cute. Let me know what you think. Did you know that I'm on social media? You can find me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. Same name, Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. Come on over and say hi. For this DIY, I'm going to use actually only one of these little signs with the butterfly and the little pom-poms on the side, which I do take off using my little Cricut spatula. Okay, they come right off. And these are from the Dollar Tree. And then I sand down the sides, and they still have a little bit left over, but I'm going to cover that with a little bit of my decoupage solution. I've got this scrapbook paper, and I just want to get a square to cover the top of the sign, so I'm going to cut this yellow one out. It has that kind of beehive look, and I just really like it. So I'm going to take that square, and I'm going to attach it to the very top of my box. And I will run my brayer across the top so I can make sure I don't get any wrinkles or bubbles. I'm going to also add some of that solution to the sides where I ripped off the pom-poms to smooth it out a bit. I'm going to use my square so I can decide how far apart I can make my lines. I want to make little planks, like shiplap lines. And I'm going to do that in pencil. And my friends Trish and Kay from the Crafting Cousins have this technique, and I've been trying it a few times, where you put it on with pencil, you get your fingers a little wet, and you kind of smudge it, and then it really does give that sense of like a cut plank. And I really like it. It's super easy to do too. I'll leave their channel link below so you can check them out. They're really, really talented. And I'm using a nail file from the Dollar Tree just to get that extra little piece of scrapbook paper off the edge that hung over a teeny bit. And now I'm using that maize color again from Waverly, and I'm going to do all 4 sides. It takes a couple coats to cover. And then I'm going to use the side of my nail file to extend that line all the way around both sides so that it really does look like those are pieces of wood. I felt like I wanted to accentuate the lines even more, so I got my steel colored chalk paint out, and I just lightly went over and then actually wiped it off a little bit and smudged it, and that kind of gave me a little more of what I needed. I think my pencil was too sharp. I needed it to be a little bit less blunt, and then I would have gotten a thicker line. And now I went too far on the side, so I'm covering it back up with the yellow paint. You just go back and forth till you get what you want. Now I'm going to use these Dollar Tree rub-on transfer letters, and I'm going to spell out Be Happy. And I'm just figuring out where I'm going to put my little bee. I got that at Michael's. Isn't that the cutest bee ever? So I'm just going to scratch on those letters until I get them all put on the way I want. I'm going to add my decoupage solution all over the top so that my letters stay on forever. I'm going to add craft paper to the back and just hot glue it to the edges. And then I'm going to attach my bee, and I'm going to use a combination of Gorilla Glue and hot glue. The bee is a little heavy, so I need to make sure that it stays put. So I'm going to put a lot of Gorilla Glue and hot glue. Really loving this little sign. I think it would look really cute on a tiered tray or just on a shelf. It's adorable. For this DIY, I'm using this little Our Nest is Best sign from the Dollar Tree and this cute little dish towel I got at the Air Force Base in Dayton. And it's so cute. I'm going to trace around the outside of the sign so I can cut out the cute part of the dish towel. So there it is. It's a little mason jar that says Honey Queen Bee. I'm going to fray the edges by pulling some of the threads all of the way around it. This is going to be a pretty easy DIY. Once I get all the edges pulled, I am going to paint the sign in my Kills White white primer just because I don't want to be able to see anything, and the back side I want to be white so it's finished. And then you see how it fits right over the top. I'm going to take a little cutting mat and I'm going to cut each one of those lines across. So again, like they're little planks, and then I will reattach them to the sign in pieces so that they look like they're individual pieces of wood. I just like that look. It's really cool and very farmhouse. Now, if you notice, there's a little twine bow on there. I want to take it off because I'm going to use it a little bit later in this DIY. I am going to attach each of these individual pieces after I fray the new edges with my decoupage solution. I just want them to stick right on there. And then I decided that it needed to be distressed a little bit, so I'm going to use a little teeny bit of my steel Waverly chalk paint, and I'm just going to go around the edges in the back. And then I'm going to come in with a really thin brush, and I'm going to do at the edges of every one of those little planks too. So I'm going to let you watch me do all of that. Oh yeah, and somewhere in the process, part of the E came off of the embroidery there. So I just used a little black marker and I kind of made dots to complete the letters. So that's all fixed now. Once I finish all the distressing that I think it's going to need, I'm using this super cute ribbon that I got, and I'm not even sure, maybe Walmart. And the pink matches the pink on the mason jar, so I'm just going to put a piece of that ribbon across the bottom. And then I'm going to make a little shoestring bow out of it, and then take the little twine bow that I found earlier that was already on the little towel, and I'm going to attach that to the middle of this bow, and then I'm going to put them up to the left side at the top of the little mason jar. And that's it. And I just love how this one turned out. I really think this one is cute. You'll have to let me know what you think. And this could just sit on a shelf, but I put a hanger on it with a little rope with the hot glue and the masking tape because you never know, might want to hang it up on the wall. And let's have one last look at all 4 of these bee themed DIYs. I've really enjoyed doing this theme and I really hope you like them. Don't forget, at the end of this video, go down to my description box and hop on over to the next creator and keep following the hop all the way back to my video, and then you will have completed it. And I know you're going to love it because we're all doing bee themed DIYs. It's going to be awesome. And to let me know you're still here at the end, type the word bee down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the time that you take to watch my videos. It means so much. I will hope to see you in my next video, and please remember that you are a blessing to me.